The galaxy had always been a place of strict rules and quiet tension. Among its many civilizations, the Council of Worlds had long maintained order. Its members, coming from countless species, prided themselves on diplomacy, strategy, and the ability to keep peace without resorting to chaos. But on this day, the Council's confidence was about to be shaken. Far beyond the usual trade routes and patrol zones, a signal appeared on the sensors, an object moving with a speed and precision that no one recognized at first. The Council assumed it was a scout from a known civilization. Their records showed no other ships capable of such velocity, and the patterns of movement were unlike anything previously observed. The sensors tracked a single vessel, large but sleek, advancing straight toward a restricted zone. Normally, such a zone was reserved for testing weapons or hosting sensitive experiments, and entry without clearance was forbidden. Yet here it was, cutting through the void with absolute confidence. Council members began to speak over one another, their voices a mix of concern and disbelief. "It cannot be one of the neighboring systems," one said, adjusting the holographic display of the approaching ship. "Their technology does not allow such precision at this speed." Another counselor added, "Could it be a rogue faction? Perhaps a rebel fleet testing our response times?" But even as speculation ran wild, the sensors revealed something unexpected. The ship emitted no offensive energy signatures, no weapons activated, and its shields were minimal, yet incredibly efficient. It seemed almost calm, unlike the usual fleets that raced toward their targets with tension and aggression. This human vessel moved with deliberate certainty. The Council's chair, an older being with translucent skin and multifaceted eyes, called for silence. "We have never encountered this species before," the chair said. "We must prepare for contact, but we must also remain cautious. Record everything. Nothing about this is ordinary." Meanwhile, aboard the human ship, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. Every movement, every command had a purpose. Unlike other civilizations, they did not rush or panic. They did not waste energy on displays of power or intimidation. Their goal was clear, and their confidence was evident in the calm way they maneuvered through the unknown. The captain, aware of the Council's monitoring systems, maintained a level of composure that seemed almost unnatural to anyone watching from afar. Dot sensors detected small clusters of Council patrol ships adjusting their trajectories, preparing to intercept. Yet the humans did not react with hostility. Instead, they communicated through calm, direct messages, offering only essential information. Their tone carried authority without aggression, and their words suggested that they did not recognize the usual politics of the galaxy as relevant to their mission. Council members were puzzled. Ships had entered restricted zones before, but they came with demands, threats, or at least an intent to negotiate from a position of fear or power. These humans were different. They neither demanded nor threatened. They simply moved with purpose, acknowledging the Council's presence, but refusing to be intimidated. Some of the younger counselors whispered among themselves, "What kind of species approaches a restricted zone without fear? Without any aggressive energy signatures? What is their goal?" Older members shook their heads. "We have long assumed that no single species could operate independently in this region without alerting us. Yet here they are, alone, and moving with certainty." The tension grew as the human ship approached closer. Council monitoring stations tried to intercept with standard communication protocols, but the humans responded almost instantly, not with hostility, but with a clear, firm explanation of their presence. They stated that they were here in response to an emergent threat, something beyond the Council's immediate awareness. They requested temporary passage and offered assurances that no interference would occur with Council operations. This response, though peaceful, did not lessen the Council's concern. The very ability to operate without fear in a zone considered Untouchable suggested a level of technology and confidence that the galaxy had never seen before. The members began to realize that these humans did not behave like any other species known to them. While the council debated, the humans continued their approach, scanning and analyzing as they moved. Their ship was equipped with technology that allowed them to detect potential hazards before they even became threats. Small probes extended quietly into space, transmitting data back to the ship in real time. They calculated risks, assessed the presence of unknown devices, and adjusted their path with almost mechanical precision. A council advisor voiced what everyone was thinking. If they are capable of this kind of movement, imagine what else they might be able to do. Perhaps they are far more advanced than we understand. The human captain reviewed the data from the sensors, noting only what was necessary. There was no boasting, no unnecessary communication, only calm observation. To them, the galaxy's fears were irrelevant. Their mission was clear, their path set, and their discipline absolute dot as the ship reached the edge of the restricted zone. A small council fleet moved to intercept, intending to escort or perhaps confront them. Yet the humans did not hesitate. Their vessel responded to the presence of the council fleet with precise maneuvers, maintaining speed and course while avoiding collision. It was as if the humans had anticipated every possible reaction and had already calculated the safest and most efficient path. For the first time, many council members felt a chill of unease. No other species had ever approached a situation like this with such calm authority. Even the most advanced fleets and diplomats always carried a degree of uncertainty, a trace of fear, or the need to display strength. But these humans exhibited none of that. They simply existed within the rules of space, operating with a confidence that challenged the galaxy's assumptions about power and control. The council chamber grew quiet, each member reflecting on the unprecedented events. Outside, the human ship continued, a solitary figure of precision cutting through the void. The chair broke the silence. Prepare for formal contact, but remain cautious. This species? They are unlike anything we have known. Observe everything. Question nothing for now. We cannot afford mistakes. And so, the humans crossed into the restricted zone without a single act of aggression, leaving the council members in stunned silence. Their calm, purposeful presence, their refusal to conform to expected behavior, and their quiet authority had already begun to rewrite the galaxy's understanding of strength. It was a first contact like no other one that would be remembered for generations as the moment humans entered the wider galaxy, not with war, but with deliberate, undeniable presence. Every member of the council watched in awe as the ship settled into its designated coordinates, ready to begin its mission. The human captain did not boast, did not threaten, and did not seek recognition. They simply prepared for the work ahead, aware of the observers, but uninterested in their opinions. In that moment, the galaxy understood something fundamental. These humans did not wage wars. They acted with a focus and determination that ensured threats were dealt with entirely, without chaos, without hesitation. And as the council processed what they had witnessed, one thought became clear. The rules of engagement that had governed the galaxy for centuries were about to change forever. The council fleet moved cautiously, a formation of sleek ships glinting against the backdrop of distant stars. Their mission was clear: intercept the human vessel, assess its capabilities, and determine whether it posed a threat. The council had never encountered a species that entered a restricted zone without hesitation or fear. Every officer aboard the fleet felt the tension, each aware that the humans they were about to meet were unlike any other known civilization. The human ship did not change its course. It continued with the same quiet confidence it had shown since entering the zone. Sensors aboard the council ships attempted to scan the vessel, to detect any weapon systems, shields, or hidden technology, But each attempt revealed only a perfect balance of efficiency and subtlety. Nothing flashy, nothing aggressive, just power quietly contained, waiting to be called upon if necessary. Inside the human ship, the crew monitored the approaching fleet. They were aware of the Council's intent, yet they remained calm. There was no panic, no tension, no display of unnecessary force. Every command was precise, every action deliberate. The captain instructed the crew in short, clear sentences, emphasizing efficiency over emotion. A council ship moved to take the lead, its commander speaking over the comms. Human vessel, identify yourself and state your purpose. You are entering a restricted zone. Cooperation is required. The human captain responded immediately. Acknowledged. We are here in response to an emergent threat in this sector. Our intent is observation and intervention if necessary. No interference with council operations is intended. The words were calm, almost casual, yet they carried an undeniable weight. The council fleet exchanged glances. No species had ever responded to an interception in such a composed manner. Typically, vessels either attempted evasive maneuvers or demanded their own turns with a hint of threat. Humans did neither. They simply stated their purpose clearly and continued toward their destination. The council fleet adjusted its formation, attempting to flank the human ship, to guide it toward a designated docking point for inspection. Sensors recorded every move. Each council officer leaned forward, eyes fixed on the displays, as the humans anticipated and countered each maneuver with subtle adjustments. No sudden turns, no dangerous accelerations, just smooth, calculated movements that ensured safety for all. This is unprecedented, muttered one council member, a representative of a species known for its strict tactical doctrines. They are responding to our fleet without aggression, yet they do not comply blindly. They are reading us, anticipating our actions. Another added, their discipline is remarkable. They move with purpose, but they do not waste energy on intimidation. They do not panic. They are beyond our experience. From the bridge of the human ship, the captain reviewed sensor data from the council fleet. Every ship, every maneuver, every adjustment was analyzed and processed. The humans were not preparing for battle. They were preparing to navigate a complex interaction with intelligence and strategy. Their approach was not about showing strength, but about maintaining control over the situation without conflict. The council commander decided to escalate, testing the humans further. Human vessel, you will stop immediately and submit to inspection. This is a directive of the council. The human captain acknowledged the message, but did not stop. Instead, the ship adjusted its speed slightly, maintaining a steady course while ensuring it stayed outside the immediate range of potential collision. The response was calm, firm, and precise. We will comply with all safety protocols. We will not pose a threat. However, our mission requires that we continue to the target coordinates. We request cooperation, not confrontation. Council ships activated their shields, preparing for a potential escalation. Sensors monitored for any sign of weapons deployment from the humans. Yet none appeared. Instead, the human vessel extended small probes slender, almost invisible extensions into space that scanned the council ships and the surrounding environment. Data flowed back to the human ship instantly, processed and interpreted with speed that surpassed even the council's advanced computing systems. It is remarkable, whispered a council strategist. They are neutralizing uncertainty with observation, not aggression. Every move they make reduces risk without showing power. They are precise. The tension aboard the council fleet grew. Officers were trained to assess threats and respond with force if necessary. Yet the humans seemed to render that instinct useless. They were not predictable in the traditional sense. They did not react with fear, nor did they react with hostility. Their presence alone commanded attention and respect. As the fleets maneuvered closer, the humans demonstrated another aspect of their unique approach. When a council ship attempted a subtle flanking move, the human vessel countered, not with weapons, but with a controlled, elegant maneuver that made the council ship's trajectory safer and more stable. It was as if the humans understood the council fleet's intentions before they were even acted upon, adjusting in ways that preserved both their mission and the safety of others. "This is not an attack," said one council officer, voice tinged with awe. "It is control. They are controlling the situation without aggression." The captain of the human ship observed the council's reactions carefully. There was no malice, no arrogance, no unnecessary display of power. Only focus, only strategy, only determination to fulfill their mission while respecting the rules of others when possible. Council advisors debated what they were witnessing. "If they are capable of such precision," one said, "imagine what they could do if provoked. Imagine the destructive potential. Yet they do not use it unless required. They are disciplined beyond comprehension." The human ship continued its approach, eventually slowing slightly to align with the safe docking corridor established by the council. The calm authority of the humans had effectively diffused the immediate tension without confrontation. The council members, who had anticipated a battle or at least a tense standoff, found themselves unsure of how to proceed. As the humans settled into position, representatives from the council attempted a formal hailing sequence, prepared to begin negotiations and inspections. The humans responded with clarity, stating their mission objectives and the parameters within which they were willing to operate. Every statement was factual, concise, and devoid of emotion beyond calm assurance. The council began to understand the pattern. These humans did not seek conflict. They did not seek conquest. They acted only when necessary, with purpose and precision. Every action served the mission, not ego, not pride, not dominance. And yet, the display of calm authority was enough to command respect, even from species that had never been intimidated by warships, weapons, or fleets. Hours passed as the humans continued their careful operations. They deployed small observational drones to scan the restricted zone for the emergent threat they had been sent to address. Data was transmitted, analyzed, and processed in real time. Any council member observing would have noted the incredible efficiency and speed at which humans made decisions, coordinated actions, and adapted to evolving conditions. By the end of the first day, the council members were silent in their chambers, reviewing the data and communications. Every member recognized a profound truth. These humans were unlike any other species they had encountered. They did not wage war in the conventional sense. They neutralized threats with intelligence, strategy, and absolute discipline. Their power was not in force alone, but in focus. One senior counselor finally spoke, voice heavy with realization. "We have always believed that the galaxy's strength comes from fleets, weapons, and alliances. These humans, they changed that understanding. They do not fight to dominate. They act to eliminate threats entirely. And yet, they do it without aggression, without chaos, without unnecessary destruction. We have never seen such control." The human ship, meanwhile, rested quietly at the edge of the restricted zone. Its crew continued to work efficiently, preparing for the next phase of their mission. There was no celebration, no prideful display of strength, just focus, calm, and preparation. Their presence had already altered the council's perception of power, strategy, and diplomacy. By the time the first human report reached the council, it had become clear that the galaxy's understanding of conflict, order, and authority was about to change. The humans had arrived not as conquerors, but as disruptors of conventional wisdom, challenging centuries of assumptions with quiet, deliberate confidence. And in that moment, As stars twinkled silently across the vast expanse of space, the Council understood something profound. These humans did not wage wars. They acted with precision, discipline, and absolute purpose. Every move they made sent a single message: the galaxy had never seen anything like them, and the consequences of that presence would be felt for generations. The Council fleet slowly disengaged, recognizing that the humans' calm authority had set the tone for all future interactions. For the first time, officers felt a mixture of awe, respect, and a subtle fear, not of the humans themselves, but of the implications of their methods, their discipline, and the power they wielded without shouting, without force, without aggression. This first encounter marked the beginning of a new era in galactic relations. The humans had arrived, not as invaders, not as aggressors, but as beings What-hour. The council chambers were filled with quiet murmurs and nervous tension. After the first encounter, it had become clear that the humans were unlike any species the galaxy had ever seen. The council's top strategists and scientists gathered to study every detail from the encounter: the humans' movements, their communication, and the unprecedented control they had shown over a complex situation without resorting to forced doc reports from the fleet were thorough, detailing the human vessel's calm authority, precision, and intelligence. Every action taken by the humans had been calculated, deliberate, and efficient. The council members were astounded by one fact above all: humans did not behave like anyone else. Even when faced with a potentially hostile fleet, they did not panic. They did not respond with aggression. They acted in ways that minimized risk, maintained control, and ensured the mission succeeded without unnecessary conflict. One counselor, a tall being with eyes that reflected light in complex patterns, addressed the assembly. "We have encountered many advanced civilizations, but none operate like this. They do not threaten. They do not negotiate in the usual sense. They simply act, and everything they do seems to follow a logic we cannot fully understand. It is remarkable." Another counselor, whose species was known for rapid computation and analytical skill, added, "Our sensors indicate that they anticipate our fleet's movements almost before we act. They adjust their trajectory in real time, maintaining perfect distance and safety. Their decision-making speed is unlike anything we have recorded. They are beyond standard tactics." The human vessel had moved quietly through the restricted zone, deploying small probes that scanned the surrounding space for hazards and unknown devices. Each probe transmitted vast amounts of data, processed instantly and integrated into the ship's operations. To the council fleet observing from a distance, the display was almost unsettling. No other species had ever managed so much information so efficiently without showing strain or error. Back on the human ship, the crew continued their work with calm focus. There was no discussion of impressing the council or displaying dominance. Every command was purposeful. Every crew member knew their role perfectly, and each action contributed to the overall mission. Their success was not measured in force or intimidation, but in precision, efficiency, and accuracy. Council scientists began running simulations, attempting to replicate the humans' approach to strategy. They fed data from the encounter into their advanced computers, trying to predict how humans would respond to various hypothetical threats. But the results were inconsistent. Humans did not follow the patterns of other species. They did not act from fear, pride, or political pressure. They acted from reason, foresight, and a deep understanding of cause and effect. "This is unlike any strategy we have known," said one strategist. They neutralize threats not through overwhelming force, but through precise action. Their efficiency ensures no unnecessary damage, no wasted energy. They seem to understand consequences in a way we cannot fully model. Meanwhile, the human ship had begun to observe the restricted zone itself. Sensors scanned every asteroid, every energy field, every possible hazard. The humans identified potential dangers before they became real problems. They adjusted their course, communicated instructions to their crew, and prepared for contingencies, all without raising alarm or causing panic among the Council fleet. From the Council's perspective, the humans were almost surreal. They did not fight in the traditional sense. They did not deploy weapons unnecessarily. Yet they projected a power and authority that made even the most seasoned officers hesitate. The humans' calm presence was a form of strength in itself. Council members debated the implications. If a human ship can operate with such control and intelligence, one said, then what else are they capable of? Could they handle threats on a planetary scale? A system-wide threat? Entire fleets? The senior strategist nodded. Based on their performance, I would say yes. Their methods rely not on brute force, but on observation, anticipation, and precise execution. They eliminate threats entirely before they escalate. If they choose to intervene, it would be final and absolute. The humans, unaware of the Council's internal discussions, continued their work methodically. They mapped the restricted zone, identified potential hazards, and neutralized small threats with surgical precision. Each move was calculated to ensure the safety of their own crew. While maintaining the integrity of the mission, the Council observed every detail, trying to understand the humans' decision-making process. Analysts pored over data, showing how humans responded to minor obstacles. When a small asteroid drifted into their path, the ship adjusted its trajectory perfectly. When an energy anomaly appeared, the humans analyzed it, deployed a probe, and determined it posed no threat. The humans' calm efficiency left the Council members in awe. "This is more than technology," said one counselor. "They are not just advanced. They are disciplined. Their focus, their clarity of purpose, their ability to act without hesitation, these are qualities we cannot fully replicate." Counselors began to recognize a new pattern. Humans did not seek conflict, yet they were capable of handling it in ways no other species could. They neutralized threats entirely, with precision, without unnecessary damage. They acted decisively, calmly, and efficiently, changing the Council's understanding of power and strategy. Even more remarkable, the humans showed an ability to predict outcomes before taking action. Their decisions were not reactive, but proactive. Every move considered potential consequences and countermeasures. They maintained control over the situation without showing aggression, without threatening, and without causing alarm. Council officers began to whisper among themselves. "They are changing the rules of engagement," one said. "They do not follow our conventions. They do not play by our expectations. They are a new kind of force in the galaxy." The humans' calm authority was matched by their commitment to their mission. They did not seek glory, recognition, or power. They acted because it was necessary. Every probe deployed, every maneuver executed, every calculation made served a purpose. Their efficiency and clarity of purpose were unmatched. Council members studied the data with growing respect and unease. No fleet, no weapon, no alliance had ever achieved such precision without chaos. Humans could have dominated with force alone, yet they chose restraint. They neutralized threats entirely, but only when required. Their discipline and focus were unprecedented. "Imagine a fleet of these humans," said one Council strategist quietly. "Imagine the consequences, not just for conflicts, but for diplomacy, for trade, for every system in the galaxy. They do not wage wars. They eliminate threats with intelligence and precision. That is a power beyond our understanding." The Council realized they were witnessing a new approach to galactic strategy. Humans were not just another species to negotiate with. They were a force that could redefine how conflicts were managed, how threats were neutralized, and how power was understood across the stars. Back on the human ship, the crew continued without interruption. Sensors scanned the horizon, analyzing every variable. Every member of the crew understood their role perfectly. There was no confusion, no hesitation, no unnecessary discussion. Their focus was complete. Their discipline absolute thought as the humans worked. The council could only observe and analyze. They could not predict every move. They could not replicate the calm efficiency and precise decision-making. Humans had introduced a new standard, one that challenged the galaxy's assumptions about strategy, conflict, and control. By the end of the observation period, the council convened to discuss the implications. "We have never seen a species like this," said the senior advisor. "They do not operate by our rules. They do not fight like others. They act decisively, efficiently, and without hesitation. They neutralize threats entirely. Their discipline and intelligence are unmatched. We must consider how this changes everything." The humans, meanwhile, completed their initial survey and prepared for the next phase of their mission. They had achieved their objectives without aggression, without confrontation, and without drawing unnecessary attention. Their calm, precise, and disciplined approach had left the council both in awe and in quiet concern. The encounter had revealed a fundamental truth. Humans were a new kind of power in the galaxy. They did not wage wars. They did not seek dominance through force alone. They neutralized threats entirely, with intelligence, focus, and discipline. Their presence alone challenged centuries of assumptions about strategy, power, and diplomacy. And as the council continued to analyze the humans' actions, one undeniable realization emerged. These humans would not just participate in the galaxy's affairs, they would change them. The rules, the expectations, and the understanding of conflict were about to be rewritten. All because a species had arrived and acted with precision, clarity, and unmatched discipline. The council's chambers buzzed with quiet urgency. After days of observing the humans, it had become clear that they were unlike any other species in the galaxy. Their calm authority, precise actions, and ability to neutralize threats without unnecessary conflict had left council members both awed and uneasy. They needed answers more than reports could provide. They needed to see the humans' true capabilities in action. A decision was made. A small fleet of council ships would approach the humans, not to attack, but to test them. This was a controlled exercise, a simulation of a potential conflict to see how the humans would respond under pressure. The council hoped this would reveal the limits of their discipline and precision. The fleet assembled near the edge of the restricted zone. Sleek vessels, armed with defensive and offensive systems, moved in coordinated formation. The fleet commander issued clear instructions. Approach cautiously, maintain formation, and observe their response. Do not escalate unless absolutely necessary. We need to understand them, not provoke them unnecessarily. The human ship was already aware of the approaching fleet. Sensors detected each vessel, each movement, each subtle adjustment. But there was no sign of tension or alarm aboard the human vessel. The crew continued their operations as if the council fleet's presence was routine. Even though every officer knew it was anything but, the council fleet moved closer, attempting subtle maneuvers to test the humans' reaction. Some ships slightly changed trajectory, others adjusted speed, while a few activated defensive measures as if preparing for an attack. The humans responded, but not with weapons. They executed precise maneuvers, anticipating the council fleet's actions and maintaining optimal distance. Every adjustment minimized risk, while ensuring their mission continued uninterrupted. Council officers whispered in disbelief. They anticipate our moves before we even make them. Look at the way they adjust without hesitation. No other species can operate like this under pressure. On the human ship, the captain gave simple, clear commands. Maintain course. Monitor fleet movement. Record anomalies. Every crew member responded immediately, performing their tasks with efficiency and calm precision. The humans were not reacting out of fear or aggression. They were acting out of understanding, calculation, and discipline. The fleet commander decided to escalate the test. One council ship edged closer to simulate a potential collision scenario. Sensors indicated a breach in safe distance, though it was deliberate for the test. The human vessel responded with a smooth, deliberate maneuver, guiding both ships safely past each other while maintaining steady speed. It was a demonstration of control and awareness that left the council fleet astonished. "This is extraordinary," one counselor murmured. "They are not fighting. They are not fleeing. They are managing the situation perfectly, ensuring safety for all while maintaining their objectives. They are beyond our understanding of conflict." Another counselor added, "If they can handle this, what happens in an actual threat scenario? Their precision could neutralize an entire fleet without casualties." The humans continued their methodical operations, deploying small, almost invisible drones to monitor the area. Each drone transmitted data back to the ship instantly, and the humans adjusted their tactics in real time based on this information. The Council fleet's attempts to probe or test the humans were met not with aggression, but with efficiency, clarity, and calculated response. At one point, a Council ship executed a simulated offensive maneuver, attempting to pressure the human vessel into defensive action. The humans responded with subtle adjustments, neutralizing the potential threat without activating any weapons. Their movements were smooth, calculated, and precise. It was as if they were controlling the situation without using force at all. "This is a new kind of strength," whispered a senior strategist. "They do not display power the way we understand it. Their power lies in their control, their anticipation, and their ability to act decisively when necessary. They neutralize threats completely without conflict. We have never seen anything like it." The Council began to realize that human discipline was not just about efficiency, it was about foresight. Every action considered consequences. Every maneuver had purpose. There was no wasted motion, no unnecessary risk, no emotion-driven decisions. Humans had a unique ability to assess situations, calculate outcomes, and act in ways that preserved their mission while minimizing risk. As the test continued, the Council ships tried more complex maneuvers, simulating threats from multiple directions. Each time, the humans responded with calm precision. They avoided hazards, maintained formation, and continued their mission objectives without hesitation. The Council fleet began to understand that these humans were not bound by conventional tactics. They did not respond like other species. They neutralized potential dangers efficiently, without aggression, without panic, and without error. From the Council's perspective, the humans were almost surreal. They did not seek confrontation, yet they were fully prepared for it. They did not flaunt power, yet their presence commanded respect and attention. Every move they made demonstrated intelligence, discipline, and control that no other species had ever shown. The Council debated what they had witnessed. "They are capable of managing threats far beyond the level of any species we have encountered," one member said. "Their actions are precise, calculated, and decisive. They neutralize danger completely without conflict. This is not just advanced technology. It is a new way of thinking about strategy." Another counselor added, "Imagine the implications. They could protect entire systems, neutralize dangerous fleets, and prevent wars before they begin. Yet they do so without aggression, without destruction, without chaos. This changes everything we know about power." The human ship, meanwhile, continued its mission as if the Council fleet were an ordinary part of their operations. They deployed sensors, scanned the area, and monitored for potential threats with calm efficiency. Every crew member performed their duties with absolute focus, demonstrating discipline and teamwork that left the Council in awe. As the test concluded, The council fleet slowly disengaged. The humans had demonstrated their capabilities fully, without aggression, without unnecessary force, and without error. The council members were left with a profound understanding. Humans did not operate like any other species. They did not wage wars. They neutralized threats entirely, with intelligence, foresight, and discipline. The council convened to discuss the implications. "We have observed a species that redefines the concept of power," said one senior advisor. "They act with precision, efficiency, and absolute control. They do not fight in the conventional sense. They do not threaten for dominance. They neutralize dangers completely. This is a new model of conflict management, and it is far beyond our experience." Another counselor added, "Their presence alone challenges centuries of assumptions. We have always believed that power is measured by fleets, weapons, and alliances. Humans demonstrate that strength comes from discipline, intelligence, and the ability to neutralize threats decisively without chaos." The humans, unaware of the full extent of the council's discussion, prepared to continue their mission. They had passed the test without incident, demonstrating not only their capabilities, but also their philosophy: action with purpose, efficiency, and clarity. They did not seek confrontation. They did not seek recognition. They acted because it was necessary. By the end of the exercise, the council understood something profound. Humans were a species unlike any other. They did not follow the rules of engagement established over centuries. They did not operate from fear, pride, or ambition. They acted with intelligence, focus, and precision, neutralizing threats entirely and efficiently. The council members knew that the galaxy had changed. The arrival of humans had introduced a new form of strength, one that combined technology, strategy, and discipline in ways no one had ever witnessed. It was a power that did not rely on aggression, but on understanding, anticipation, and action. And as the humans continued their mission quietly, with calm authority, the council realized that their presence would not just influence the immediate zone, it would reshape the way the galaxy understood conflict, strategy, and control. The test had confirmed what had already become clear: humans were not like any other species. They did not wage wars. They did not dominate through force. They neutralized threats entirely, with intelligence, discipline, and precision. Their arrival marked the beginning of a new era, one in which the rules of engagement, power, and strategy would never be the same again. The council chambers were unusually quiet. After the human ship had passed the test of their fleet, the members found themselves in uncharted territory. They had observed a species that did not behave like any other. They did not fight to dominate. They did not seek glory or power. Yet their calm, precise, and disciplined actions had left every council member unsettled, and even a little awed. As the council convened, debate began almost immediately. "We must decide how to handle this," said one elder counselor. "We cannot ignore them, yet they do not fit any known category of threat or ally. They are different, entirely different." Another counselor, known for strategic foresight, added, "Our observations confirm it. Humans do not act like other species. They neutralize threats entirely, with precision, but without aggression. They are disciplined beyond our understanding. Their presence changes the rules of engagement in the galaxy." The debate grew heated, not out of anger, but from genuine uncertainty. For centuries, the council had maintained balance using fleets, alliances, and strict protocols for conflict resolution. Every species they had encountered had motivations that could be predicted: fear, ambition, pride, territorial instincts. Humans, however, did not fit any of these patterns. Their decisions were logical, disciplined, and purpose-driven, without emotion-driven unpredictability. Some council members argued for cautious alliance. "If we work with them," said one, "we could prevent countless wars." Their precision, their ability to neutralize threats, could protect entire systems without destruction. Their methods could save lives across the galaxy. Others argued for caution. Their power is beyond anything we can comprehend. If they choose to act against us, there will be no negotiation, no retreat, no mercy. We cannot fully understand their limits. We must remain vigilant and consider containment strategies. The Council's strategists analyzed data from the humans' movements and operations. Every maneuver was recorded, every probe, every calculation studied. Yet, even with advanced simulations, they could not replicate the humans' decision-making. Humans did not act from fear or ego. They acted with clarity, foresight, and absolute focus. They considered every possible outcome before acting, neutralizing threats in a way that ensured no unnecessary destruction. This is not technology alone, said a senior advisor. It is philosophy. Discipline, clarity, and logic guide their every action. They do not waste energy on conflict. They do not escalate situations unnecessarily. And yet, when necessary, they act with finality and precision. This is a new model of strength, one that the galaxy has never known. Meanwhile, the human ship continued its mission. They had completed the test and observed the restricted zone fully. Their focus remained on the emergent threat they had been dispatched to assess. There was no display of force, no overt warning, no attempt to intimidate. Every action was methodical, calm, and purposeful. Council members observed with growing awe. The humans' efficiency, foresight, and ability to control situations without aggression had forced the Council to reconsider everything they knew about power. Humans did not seek to dominate through fleets or alliances. They relied on intelligence, discipline, and precise action. Their strength lay not in intimidation, but in control. The Council debated potential alliances. Some members believed that cooperating with humans could bring an era of peace to the galaxy. Their unique approach to neutralizing threats could prevent wars before they even began. Entire star systems could be protected, dangerous factions neutralized, and conflicts resolved without widespread destruction. Others were more cautious. "We do not know their intentions fully," said one member. "They act decisively, with power we cannot fully predict. Even if they mean no harm, the consequences of their actions could disrupt the balance of power. Alliances could place us in positions we do not fully control." Despite the debate, one truth was undeniable. Humans had introduced a new paradigm. Their presence challenged assumptions about strategy, diplomacy, and conflict. The Council realized that their existing protocols, fleets, and treaties were designed for species who acted out of fear, pride, or self-interest. Humans did not. They acted out of clarity, purpose, and understanding. The humans themselves remained unaware of the Council's debates. On their ship, the crew continued their mission with calm focus. Sensors scanned the zone, analyzing potential threats, mapping anomalies, and recording data. Every crew member performed their duties with precision. There was no haste, no panic, no desire to impress. Their discipline was quiet, methodical, an absolute dot at the Council chambers. Members studied the humans' methods in greater depth. They analyzed their movements, the deployment of their probes, and their responses to Council maneuvers. Every time the humans adjusted, it was deliberate. Every decision was calculated, efficient, and precise. No other species could operate in such a controlled manner under pressure. "This is beyond strategy as we know it," said one counselor. "Their power is not in fleets, weapons, or intimidation. It is in understanding, foresight, and discipline. They neutralize threats completely, without chaos. That is something the galaxy has never witnessed." Another counselor, more pragmatic, noted, "We must consider the implications carefully. They could prevent countless conflicts, but they could also disrupt the balance if their methods are not understood or integrated carefully. Their efficiency is unmatched, but we must approach this cautiously. The Council realized they faced a dilemma. Humans could be allies, protectors, or disruptors. Their methods were effective, their discipline flawless, and their focus absolute. They did not follow the conventional rules of engagement. Their power lay in their ability to act decisively and efficiently, neutralizing threats entirely. But that very efficiency made them unpredictable in traditional terms. As discussions continued, the humans carried out the next phase of their mission. They identified minor hazards, deployed sensors, and analyzed potential threats in real time. Every action was precise, calculated, and purposeful. The Council observed quietly, recognizing that the humans' philosophy of action clarity, discipline, and intelligence was as important as their technology. By the end of the day, the Council reached a tentative consensus. Humans could be a force for stability if approached carefully, but they could also disrupt the balance if misunderstood or provoked. The members realized they needed to learn from the humans, to study their methods, and to adapt to a new paradigm of power. We must approach them with caution, respect, and willingness to learn, said the senior counselor. They do not wage wars. They do not threaten for dominance. They act decisively, with clarity and efficiency. We cannot predict every action, but we can observe and adapt. This is a new era for the galaxy, and humans are at its center. The humans, continuing their mission, remained calm, disciplined, and focused. They had no desire to dominate, no need to display power, and no intention of provoking fear. Their actions were guided by understanding, clarity, and purpose. The Council recognized that they had encountered a species unlike any other, one whose approach to conflict, strategy, and authority could change the galaxy forever. And as the humans prepared to move to the next stage of their mission, the Council understood a profound truth. These beings did not wage wars. They neutralized threats entirely, with intelligence, foresight, and discipline. Their presence challenged centuries of assumptions about power, strategy, and control. The galaxy would never be the same again. The humans had been in the restricted zone for days, carrying out their mission with calm precision. Every sensor scan, every probe deployment, every maneuver was carried out with careful thought. There was no rush, no panic, no unnecessary show of strength. They moved with quiet confidence, as if the galaxy itself were simply another part of their calculations. The Council continued to observe from a distance. Every detail had been recorded, every maneuver analyzed, and every decision scrutinized. Yet the more they watched, the more the Council realized that they were observing something far beyond conventional understanding. Humans did not operate like other species. They did not make mistakes from fear or pride. They did not hesitate, and they did not escalate conflicts unnecessarily. Every action had purpose, every movement served a goal, and every decision accounted for possible outcomes with astonishing clarity. One counselor leaned forward, voice filled with awe. It is clear now. They do not wage wars. They neutralize threats entirely, and they do so without chaos, without destruction, without unnecessary conflict. They operate on an entirely different level of discipline and understanding. Another counselor nodded. And yet, they do not flaunt power. They do not seek glory. They simply act. Their calm authority and precision are enough to command respect from anyone who witnesses it. As the humans approached the core of the restricted zone, they detected the emergent threat that had brought them here. It was subtle, at first an anomaly in energy readings, patterns that suggested instability. To most civilizations, this would have been cause for panic, for immediate defensive action. But the humans analyzed it calmly, deploying sensors, probes, and small automated drones to gather information. Every measure was calculated, every action deliberate. Council members watched in silence as the humans worked. The anomaly which had perplexed the council for weeks, began to resolve. Small irregularities were neutralized through precise intervention. Potential hazards were contained before they could grow into significant threats. The humans did not attack blindly, nor did they react with fear. They acted with focus, intelligence, and efficiency. "This is unlike anything we have ever seen," said a senior strategist. "They do not act out of fear. They do not rely on brute force. They neutralize threats entirely, but with intelligence, foresight, and control. This is a new kind of power in the galaxy." The humans continued their work, moving through the zone systematically. Every potential danger was identified and addressed. Their methods were so effective that even complex, unpredictable anomalies were contained before they could escalate. Council officers began to realize that this species' approach to problem solving was not limited to technology or strategy, it was philosophical. Their discipline, clarity, and understanding were as much a part of their strength as their advanced vessels and tools. One counselor, who had spent decades studying interstellar conflicts, spoke quietly. "We have always believed that strength is measured by fleets, weapons, and alliances. But humans show us something different. Strength can come from intelligence, discipline, and the ability to act decisively. Their methods prevent destruction, preserve life, and resolve problems efficiently. This changes everything we thought we knew." Even as the humans continued their mission, they remained aware of the Council's observation. Yet their actions were unaffected by scrutiny. They did not seek recognition, nor did they adjust their behavior to impress. Every decision, every maneuver, and every action was guided solely by the needs of the mission. Their calm, precise presence conveyed authority without the need for words or weapons. Council analysts attempted once more to simulate human decision-making using all available data. Yet the results were inconsistent. Humans did not follow conventional logic based on fear, pride, or aggression. They considered all possible outcomes, analyzed risks and probabilities, and acted with precision to ensure the best possible resolution. Even the most advanced simulation could not predict every move accurately, because humans operated with a level of foresight that was unmatched. After several hours, the emergent threat was fully neutralized. The anomalies had been contained, hazards addressed, and the zone stabilized. The humans had completed their mission efficiently, without chaos, without conflict, and without unnecessary force. Council members watched in silence, finally understanding the scope of what they had witnessed. A senior counselor spoke, voice heavy with realization. "They have done what no other species could. They have neutralized a threat completely and efficiently. And yet, they have done so without aggression, without destruction, and without seeking dominance. They are not conquerors. They are guardians of a new kind." The human captain communicated a brief report back to their own command, stating the mission was complete. The message was simple, concise, and factual. There was no boast, no drama, no need for recognition. The humans had acted with purpose and precision, and that alone demonstrated their authority. The council began to reflect on the broader implications. Humans had shown a new paradigm of power, one that relied not on intimidation, not on sheer numbers, and not on weaponry alone. They relied on intelligence, foresight, discipline, and decisive action. They neutralized threats entirely, yet preserved life in order. Their very presence demanded respect, not fear. Council strategists debated what this meant for the future. "If humans can operate at this level," one said, "then entire systems, entire fleets, and perhaps even the galaxy itself could be stabilized in ways we never imagined. They do not need wars to impose order. Their efficiency ensures resolution without chaos." Others considered the risks. "Their power is immense," said another counselor. "If they ever acted against us, there would be no negotiation, no compromise. Their ability to neutralize threats is total. We must understand them, but also remain cautious. They are not predictable in the ways we are used to. The humans, meanwhile, prepared to leave the restricted zone. Their sensors confirmed that all anomalies were stabilized and that no further intervention was necessary. Their work was complete. They did not linger for recognition or applause. They had acted decisively, efficiently, and with clarity, fulfilling their mission to the fullest dot. As the humans departed, the council watched in awe. The species had arrived quietly, without fanfare, and had demonstrated a level of authority and discipline that none could have anticipated. They had changed the understanding of power, strategy, and conflict forever. One counselor reflected, voice quiet but firm. "We have seen the future of strategy, and it is not what we expected. Humans do not wage wars. They neutralize threats entirely, with intelligence, focus, and discipline. They act decisively and efficiently. And in doing so, they have changed the galaxy's understanding of power." Another counselor added, "We must learn from them. Their methods, their philosophy, their discipline, all of it has implications for how we govern, how we defend, and how we interact with the wider galaxy. They are not just a species. They are a paradigm shift." As the council continued to deliberate, the human ship moved silently through space, leaving the restricted zone behind. Their mission was complete. They had acted with calm authority, neutralized a significant threat, and demonstrated a new model of power and discipline. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary, though perhaps only partially understood. The humans' approach would be studied for years, their methods analyzed, their decisions debated. But one truth was undeniable. They did not wage wars. They neutralized threats entirely, without unnecessary conflict, without chaos, and without fear. Their discipline, intelligence, and focus set them apart from every other species. And in that quiet moment, as stars stretched endlessly across space, the galaxy began to recognize a profound reality. The arrival of humans marked the beginning of a new era. An era in which strength was measured not by fleets or weapons alone, but by clarity of purpose, discipline, foresight, and the ability to neutralize threats decisively and efficiently. The humans had arrived. They had acted. And in doing so, they had shown the galaxy that the future of power, conflict, and strategy would never be the same again.